How long are you going to let your parents control your life? Forever? Until you die? I saw a post the other day that said, in quotes, "Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about." And I remember my parents saying, not my parents, but my mum saying this to me, yeah? I remember it was just a typical thing you heard other people's parents and your own parents say as you were growing up. And the comments under this post on Instagram were like, "Oh, I still deal with that trauma, I'm not able to cry still and I'm age 35, etc., etc." And it's like, okay, I get it. We've all got a level of childhood trauma. I understand. We're all on the spectrum somewhere in terms of how our parents have influenced our life, their presence or their lack of presence has influenced our life without a shadow of a doubt. But how long are you going to let that influence your life for the rest of your life? Are you going to kind of like keep the person that they made you and stay with that person forever, be that person forever? Or are you going to try and rework those habits, those instincts, those choices? It's super important that you take control of your life. Like for me, the world is trying to tell you who you are. And it's your job to discover who you are and go forward with that and show the world who you really are. That's the important part. If you're 25, 35, I get it in your 20s, you're kind of still confused and you're kind of still waking up, etc. You get to 28, 29, and you usually kind of, okay, adulthood is here. And then in your 30s, should you still be blaming your parents? Like, even if the worst possible things have happened, and some absolutely awful things have happened to my friends, the worst things you can possibly think about, and still even where I am at the moment, in Dubai, back in Manchester, definitely, and all around the world, you know, it happens. We all have a different starting point. But how long are you going to be in that cage for? How long are you going to be locked away? Or are you going to take control? It's a really sensitive issue, and it can be really offensive because the natural reaction is, well, you don't know what I went through. No, of course I don't know what you went through. But I know what a large number of people have been through or what they've told me. I know what I went through. And you get to a point where you're in my early 30s. Let's go back a little bit. Like in my early to late 20s, I just thought the world was black and white. I thought the harder you work, the smarter you work, whether that's at school, college, university, and then work, the smarter you work and the harder you work, the further you're going to go. I thought it was black and white. And I thought anybody who doesn't understand that and doesn't take that path deserves to lose, deserves to fail. And then what you get is to a point where I traveled and I moved to Norway, and then I moved to Sweden, and then I moved to Spain, then I moved to Thailand, and I traveled in Malaysia and lived in Indonesia, and I've been around. And then what you get from those experiences is everybody's start point is not the same, yeah? And the definition of success is how far you get from where you started, not how far you get. So great, you might be kind of a guy from London living in Dubai, you don't pay tax anymore, you've got a Lamborghini, you've got a great penthouse apartment, etc., etc. But your starting point was, you come from a rich family, and your rich family have given you a trust fund. You never really have to worry. You don't have much drive. You don't have much discipline in your life. Things have gone off the rails a few times, but it doesn't matter because the safety net's there. How about that compared to you're from a tiny little village in the Philippines where the average salary is maybe $25 to $40 a month, and you've built up enough money to get on a flight, come to Dubai, and work your ass off as a cleaner. You live in a tiny bunk, on the bottom bunk, and your entire life is surrounded. But don't worry about it because you're working 14 hours, 16 hours a day, cleaning 5, 6, 7 houses. You speak to delivery drivers here. They drive 300 to 400 kilometers a day in order to make 40 to 50 drop-offs. And they're earning tiny amounts of money. Those people are sending money home to their families to make sure that their children can go to school, to make sure their husband or wife is able to look after their house payments, whether it's rent or mortgage, whatever. They're trying to make a better tomorrow for their children and ideally for themselves. Everyone comes here with a plan. They usually try to earn as much as they can in 5 to 10 years, then leave. I heard that story so many times for people that have been here for 15, 20, 25 years. And I think those people are so much more successful that have come here and are contributing and are actually helping and providing for their family, protecting their family, and working so hard in order to give their family a better tomorrow. So why should we, especially in the West, be still blaming our parents? So when I've been traveling and I've seen those situations, wow, they don't have healthcare in Southeast Asia, in a lot of countries. They don't have healthcare. They don't have a free education. Most kids don't know how to read and write. And they live under a dictatorship, right? So of course, you know, in the UK, free healthcare, free education, pretty much as long as you want until you get to university. And then an illusion of democracy, but some kind of democracy. You get to vote, yeah? That's a golden ticket That's a golden ticket. So if you're in Australia, America, UK, Europe, you've probably received that golden ticket. Yeah? And so it's your job to be like, okay, my parents weren't great, but yeah, okay, that was that. And now I'm rewiring myself because I'm learning how to be the best version of myself. And I'm moving forward with this golden ticket. I can probably speak English, and therefore it puts me ahead of most people in the world in order to get a job, in order to move forward in my career, in order to get promoted. I'm gonna take this as far as I possibly can. It's always shocking when I'm from the UK and I speak to is it Thai friends or even Spanish friends, yeah? There is no entrepreneurship, very, very little entrepreneurship in Spain, in the mentality of people in Andalusia. Nobody's thinking, okay, well, if I set up this and I sell this for a profit, then I can turn this into a business. In the UK, we're surrounded by that, and obviously you're a product of your environment. You've got that golden ticket. You've got the American dream that will also teach you that, and same in Australia. We can see from the internet now this happening all the time, so it will spread out. And maybe Spain is a little bit behind, but it will catch up very quickly. But you get the feeling in Spain that you have that socialist mentality still, which should have left in the 70s when Franco died, but it's still there today. You still feel it. So to blame your parents for your shortcomings in your late 20s, 30s, 40s, bad things have happened. Bad things have happened to all of us, yeah? I'm pretty guarded. I keep a private life, and I show you what I want to tell you in terms of getting better at running, or trying to get better in your life, or trying to get better at running in your career at the same time. Yeah, so this is kind of me today. You are the sum of your experiences. So move forward as effectively and efficiently with that golden ticket and all those life lessons as possible. What I finally got to, the conclusion with my parents when I was late 20s, started to travel more and more and more in Southeast Asia, is I had that golden ticket, free healthcare, free education, etc. And my parents, you know what? They did their best. They did their best. My dad pushed me into sport. I loved that. And they weren't there academically, but they pushed me into sport. And so I had all those lessons. And that was fine. And my mum would say things like that, say things like the post. She didn't even know what she was saying, probably. She probably just repeated something she'd heard from her parents and from other parents. So you kind of got to a point where you're like, you had 3 children by the time you were 33, Dad. Like, I'm older than that, and I don't have any children, and life is hard enough, yeah? And I'm trying as much as I can. I'm trying to get forward. I'm trying to build something, trying to build it, etc., etc. Trying to become the best runner I can. All these different things. You had 3 children at 33 years old, and that includes two young babies. Like, that's, for me, mind-blowing. You know, having your first child at 23, 24, and then onwards from there. And I have friends who I went to school with who had children very early, and now, you know, they're going through, those children are grown up or whatever, but they had to learn on the go. You don't get a guidebook. So your parents do the best job that they can. Of course, there's some outliers. Of course, there's some issues. Of course, there's some parents who shouldn't have children. That's a completely different debate. But you have been dealt a hand, and it's your job to play as well as you can with that hand. It's like, I hear all the time, don't hate the player, hate the game. And that's a new kind of hostile thing that we've heard in the last 10 years. Can't remember exactly where it came from, but no, love the game. Learn the rules and play as well as you can by those rules. Because if you hate the game, you're gonna hate life. The game is life, yeah? So it's a sports analogy, but it's also a life analogy. If you're going to constantly complain about the game, about the government, about schools, about your job, about your boss, about your parents, you're already losing. Because you're already spending so much energy and time, emotional energy, on something that you can no longer control. So love the game. Love the players. Get involved, learn the rules, and do the very best you can. Good luck. If you've got anything from this, I get it's a controversial topic. If you don't agree with me, great, wonderful. Put it in the comments below and let's talk about it. I'd love to have that conversation. If you feel the same, or if you kind of have a different perspective, again, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. All the best.